Even though it's the off season, there's still some big-time news being made. In Atlanta, Atlanta just signed Matt Ryan to a 5-year contract extension worth $150 million. The big number, though, $100 million guaranteed. He is the richest quarterback in NFL history. Is Matt Ryan deserving of this contract?
Yes, Matt Ryan is deserving of this contract. We had Kirk Cousins this year come through with a 3-year, $84 million, fully guaranteed contract from the Minnesota Vikings. That's $28 million a year from a guy who is not a former MVP, who has not had a playoff win in his entire career, who has been accused of only playing for stats. And I mean, Matt Ryan, he's proven that he can produce as a quarterback. Matt Ryan was top 5 in total QBR this past season. Top 5 in total QBR. He was the 2016 league MVP. Just astronomical numbers from the past year. And I think he's very deserving. And in this league, once you find your franchise guy, you've got to stick with that guy. And I think we had to keep Matt Ryan with this. I mean, we had Kirk Cousins with $84 million. Jimmy Garoppolo has made 7 career starts. And he is getting $27.5 million a year on a $137 million contract with $74 million guaranteed. Matthew Stafford has $27 million a year on his contract. When was the last time the Lions won a playoff game? Carr, $25 million a year. I think Derek Carr is very deserving of that money. He's a solid player, but the Falcons have a much better playoff history. Forget about 28-3. Drew Brees, $25 million, but Drew Brees is almost out the door. But in his heyday, he definitely was deserving of more money. And then Andrew Luck is making $24.5 million a year, and he hasn't so much as tasted grass in the past 2 years. I think Matt Ryan is definitely deserving of this contract. It's just resetting the market. It's just once we see that someone like Kirk Cousins is getting $28 million a year, Matt Ryan's agent would be an absolute fool not to be able to give him $30 million a year. And I think that we locked up our QB for the future in the Falcons.
Yeah, when you're talking about NFL quarterbacks and contracts, the whole question of what is deserving doesn't really add up, right? Matt Ryan got what he's worth on the open market. It doesn't matter. If you have a franchise quarterback that is going to be a free agent, they will reset the market. It happens every single time. Happened with Derek Carr, happened then with Stafford, Garoppolo, Cousins, and now Matt Ryan. So that's just what a franchise quarterback is worth. It's worth top dollar. And I don't think we're going to sit here and say Matt Ryan's the top quarterback in the league. No, nor is Kirk Cousins, nor is Garoppolo, Stafford, Brees, Carr,
top 5
all the way,
all
the way down. So you can't really look at contract numbers and associate that with playing on the field. Slightly, but you can't correlate it with top contract equals top quarterback. Obviously, that doesn't work. And I will say this: I think Matt Ryan is deserving of the $30 million. He's the next franchise quarterback on the market, but I do think it is a little worrisome for the Falcons. If you're spending $30 million on the quarterback position, you're not going to have enough money to go around and help the other positions.
For our team, we have a young defense right now, and we're still going to have those young contracts for a while. And then we have Julio locked up for a couple more years. Continue with your point, but
I think the issue is when you're paying a quarterback this much money, you need to make sure he is a superstar at the position. You need to make sure he is an Aaron Rodgers, a Tom Brady, whatever. You need to make sure he's a top 5 guy. And I think there's some question around Matt Ryan if he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. And this isn't to spite the Falcons. This is what you have to pay Matt Ryan. Cousins, Jimmy G, Stafford, Derek Carr, none of them have won a playoff game in their career combined. The only one's Matt Ryan. The other 4 guys, 0 playoff wins, and they're all at the top 5 in contract. So that's what you have to give Matt Ryan, but I think that is going to hurt the Falcons down the line. You can't be given a quarterback, and in my opinion, Matt Ryan is an above-average quarterback. I don't see him as an elite quarterback. I see him as that step below, and here's why. He won 8 games, then he won 11, then he won 10. So he had a mediocre year, followed up with an incredible year. They were near the top of the NFL offenses in NFL history the year they went to the Super Bowl, but he blew a major Super Bowl lead. Everyone knows
That
that.
was coaching.
We don't need to go into that. He blew a big lead. That's
He
just
had
fact.
a great game.
And then last year, we saw that with the loss of Kyle Shanahan. The offense took a big step back. We've sort of seen this with Matt Ryan. You know, over the course of Matt Ryan's career, you know, he went through a long stretch before they made the Super Bowl run of not making the playoffs. He won 4 games, 6 games, 8 games. So he's sort of been up and down. We've only seen one phenomenal year from Matt Ryan, and I'm a little bit worried that that 1 year that we saw 2 years ago is who the Falcons think they're getting. They think that Matt Ryan is the $30 million quarterback. I think it is a step below that. It is more the Matt Ryan we saw last year, which is good. You know, you have to pay that franchise quarterback, but I still think it's not worth the $30 million. You're not getting an MVP Matt Ryan. MVP Matt Ryan, that was a 1-year thing. Very good Matt Ryan, that's what you're going to see, but is very good worth $30 million? I don't know.
Very good with what the team has built is good enough, especially when you have a guy like Julio Jones who's out catching balls for you. And now we have Calvin Ridley and Mohamed Sanu. So I think Matt Ryan has thrown for above 4,000 yards for every year since 2013, and last year took a dip.
Yeah, but 4,000 yards doesn't mean anything anymore.
The dip only below 4,500 yards was because of Sarkisian. He's thrown for 4,500 yards every year up till 2016. 2017 was an off year. Sarkisian definitely had some growing pains with that offense. And what we saw with his pick numbers being up, Matt Ryan's receivers having weaker hands, and there was.
But they weren't. So they weren't up. They were actually lower than what you would normally see from 2011.
Well, they were up. They were up from the previous year.
2011 to 2015, Matt Ryan threw 12, 14, 17, 14, and 16 interceptions. His MVP year, he only threw 7. He's only thrown less than 10 2 times in his career. Every other time, more than 10. So he's a guy who's going to throw more interceptions than not. Seems like 2016 was the aberration and not the other years. And, you know, you also worry, you're saying Sarkisian. Yeah, well, maybe Sarkisian isn't the fix, but I think the problem was the loss of Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan's not walking back through that door. So you either have Sarkisian or you find a better offensive coordinator, but you're not going to find Kyle Shanahan again.
I think Matt Ryan is definitely a quarterback who can thrive in the system. And this is a very risky contract. I will concede to you about that. But I do believe this is just on the coaching now. We have our guy. I think the coaching needs to step up and Sarkisian needs to elevate because we have seen what the potential for that offense can be.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think Matt Ryan's sort of similar to Derek Carr in the sense, if you get him a great coaching staff, and the pieces around him are all there, then he could be an MVP candidate. If that's not there, then you're going to get a very good player who is going to win you a lot of games, but he might not be able to get you to a Super Bowl and get you to that promised land by yourself. With the team around him, sure, he can do it. He's worth the $30 million. But you need to make sure that team does not drop off at all, or that $30 million per year is not going to look good down the line.